All right, all right. It's fun to be back in the studio.
So let's reconnect. Happy day. Happy Friday. All right, it's been a minute.
It has been a minute.
Happy Friday.
So did you miss me while we weren't in the studio? No.
Did I miss you?
Yeah. Not being in the studio with me.
Yeah, all the time.
Oh,
all
okay.
the time.
All right.
All right.
Good answer.
All right. So let's get started.
All right, here we go. How do we connect this evening?
I don't know. How do we reconnect? How do we stay connected during the holidays? How do we stay connected during the holidays, huh? So we know for us, during the Thanksgiving holiday, it was a little trying, right? So let's talk about reconnecting, connecting, rekindling, kindling, and all that good stuff back when we return. So we're going to go into it. So we're going to go into it once we get it's been a minute, so our technician over here is getting it together.
Mm-hmm.
You got it together, baby?
I do not have it together.
All right. So just go with the flow, guys.
Right.
This is what we do. Had a couple of weeks off, and now we're back. But we're going to bring it to you the way we always do.
Oh, that's what I'm talking about. Just the way we do.
Oh,
so much fun we're having.
Absolutely.
So we're just giving everybody some time to chime in here for a second.
It was up.
Yep, here we go.
Oh.
All right.
So we'll be right back to get into tonight's topic right after this.
All right, let's go for it, baby.
Welcome to Loving Beyond the I Do podcast. This power couple is building stronger marriages one day at a time. Talking about real issues on love, relationships, and marriage longevity. Let's break down the barriers and engage in healthy conversation with your hosts, Jason and Tina Marie. Take a seat and buckle up because things are about to get real.
All right. Welcome back. Man, we are so happy to be back with you guys.
Yes.
It has been a minute, but we've been always thinking about you. So,
that's right. Welcome back to our live. We've gotten your messages, your DMs, your calls, your texts. So we've gotten them. And so we missed a party tonight to be here with you. So we thank you for tuning in with us.
We're going to turn it up right here, man. We're going to turn it up right here.
All right.
So welcome to Loving Beyond the I Do podcast.
Live.
We are Jason and Tina Marie.
That's me.
And what we do is we help individuals seeking to manifest the relationship they desire to understand how to apply universal laws and to go from feeling frustrated and stuck to a successfully manifesting joy, love, and happiness in their relationships.
All right. So what are we talking about today? Today, our topic affects so many couples and so many people.
Oh, yeah.
So feeling stuck in love. And what does that mean? Especially during the holidays. It's so easy to fall into the routine of the excitement, the day-to-day, the shopping, the parties, the commitment, the responsibilities. And usually what happens during that time is the excitement in our relationship fades.
Yep.
Right? And so the spark is gone. And we wonder, can we get that spark back? Because we really just are not cutting out that time like a cookie cutter, right? We're just not cutting out that time to reconnect with each other because there's so many other things going on. But the good news is that you can. You can reconnect this holiday season. You can find the spark again. I know for us, most of the time people say, well, how do you get that spark back? And most of the time, the reason why it fades is because you're not intentional in your relationship.
Ooh.
You're just going day to day, and it's like it's just evolving without direction. And we know, like anything, we've talked about it on our previous podcast, everything needs maintenance.
Yep.
So we're going to get into how you can stop from being stuck in the routine of not connecting.
Yeah, it's kind of like feeling like roommates more than lovers.
Right.
Or you can feel lonely or doubtful. But you know what? I want people to understand that you're not alone, right? People feel that way, especially around this time of the year. I don't know what it is.
Lots of couples.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. If it's just, just the things that need to go on. I'm not really sure. But Whether you're spending the holidays alone or together or dealing with work pressures, family, or expectations. You know, these holiday expectations are sometimes unreal.
Yes.
We do put a lot of pressure on ourselves for that. So it is, that makes you, like Tina said, makes you lose touch with who you are as individuals and who you are as a couple.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we want to just make sure that we're intentional about being together. We're not just being together and not really talking or anything like that. So today we're just going to talk about how to connect, reconnect, reignite passion, and bring back some of that joy-filled love.
Absolutely. So I know for Jason and I, we were talking about that, and actually we were at Thanksgiving and we were joking about it, and it was like the pressure of having to cook and clean and buy, presents and all these other things. But for Thanksgiving in particular, we were all in the kitchen, Jason and myself, or Jason, our children and myself. We're all trying to cook. Everybody's trying to use the stove at the same time. We're all
They added a whole bunch of pressure to it.
It did, because you have a deadline where you need to be. You're going to Thanksgiving. You have things to cook or prepare, and you have to get there. So it's weird because Jason is saying something to me, and I'm really snapping at him. He's snapping at me. And then our boys, or our young men, they were cooking and baking. And so they got into the same thing.
It was a pressure cooker in the kitchen.
So my daughter was like, what is going on? I thought this was supposed to be the time for Thanksgiving. And it was so funny. So I told her, I said, whatever you do, stay clear of the kitchen. Don't come into the kitchen, because this seems like the war zone. So and it's not that we want to do that. It's just that the people who are closest to us usually get the wrath, right? They get the end of the sword. So the wrath, right?
It's wrath.
Right.
Yeah.
I pronounced it.
That rah.
So it's like understanding that we all require different things. So what really does happen? So why do we lose our spark over time? Why do we disconnect? Why do we forget the people or the person who we're supposed to be in the relationship with? Or we feel stuck because we haven't found that person, so we just give up. And so we're really frustrated because we see love being expressed in everywhere we look, but we don't feel as though we have it. So we know that it's because we fall into patterns, either patterns of going to work, coming home, doing what we do, not actually intentionally looking for love, or we fall into patterns of unintentionally lacking our love.
Ooh. Right?
So we want to talk about the importance of quality time, or not etching out the quality time.
Right. Because that can be detrimental as well, not having enough time.
Right. So what happens is that when we don't etch out that time, or we're not intentional in our relationships, our emotional connection seems to take a back seat. And it's very easy to do. Right. And we don't always see it.
Right.
So we don't always see it, or we're not aware of it. And then one day we look up and our emotional connection is in the back seat and we're in the front seat and we're arguing and we're wondering what happened and how to get it back. my fault. There you go.
Yeah. Okay. Not a problem. We appreciate you. All right. So.
All right.
Okay. Remember 1 second.
So don't forget, guys, it's been a minute.
Oh, man.
All right. So don't forget, guys, if you are out there and you want us to shout you out, please make sure you put a message in the comments. Hello, Dot.
How are you?
Good evening, Dot.
Yes.
Nice to see you tuning in. Thank you for tuning in. I don't know if this is your first time with us on our Friday Night Live, but thank you for tuning in.
Yeah, we appreciate that. We appreciate that. We appreciate that.
So again, if you are out there, we cannot see who is viewing. So if you want us to shout you out, please put your name in the comment. Leave us a little note. Welcome to the show.
All right. So, we talk about all these different things about getting together, or the heat in the kitchen, as I like to call it.
Right.
Sometimes I have to definitely get out of the kitchen because sometimes it's just really too hot in there. I'll walk through and be like, whoo, it's really hot in here. Let me go.
And what people fail to realize is that it happens to majority of the couples.
Especially, I don't know if it's the pressure. I think it's any event. It's not necessarily the holiday.
Oh, no. I'm talking about emotional disconnection. It
happens to
everybody.
That happens to
yeah.
Well, I'll say this. It happened to all of the couples that we've worked with. Right? So.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know what. Hold on. Can you get that? Yeah, I got to. Let's mute for the studio for a moment. We're gonna pause for a station identification. All right, guys.
so
Sorry
we're
about
back.
that. We had a call. Some people don't realize we have a call at Friday at 6 o'clock. All right, so go ahead. We were talking about taking a
busy on
back
Friday.
seat. Right.
Well, we haven't been for a minute. So
Right.
We've been
Okay.
available. All right. So, you know what? It was a study, I think, back in 2014 where it was published in the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships. Found that partners who feel emotionally connected or disconnected,
Right.
disconnected are more likely to experience negative communication, lower satisfaction, and even emotional withdrawal. It's like you're physically there or together,
Right.
but you're mentally and emotionally miles apart.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what are we talking about? We know that as we're talking about relationships and being connected, that as relationship coaches, I know for sure that from that study from 2014 to
Yep.
now to 2024,
Woo.
not much has changed. How many divorces did we hear about during COVID?
A lot.
Actually, during COVID and even after COVID.
Yeah, the after effect.
Which, when we are together, because we're not emotionally connected, we were stuck in one place together, and then we realized that we're not connected, and we didn't even know how to get that connection back. So we have to be careful not to overlook. Excuse me. We have to be careful not to overlook when we are becoming emotionally
Detached?
Yep.
Yep.
I don't know why I wanted to put the "is" in there. It's been a minute. You got to calm down. Phones ringing, everything's happened. So it's very easy. We have to be intentional in our relationship. When we're talking about the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships, what it publishes various aspects of personal and social relationships. This includes romantic partnerships, friendships, family dynamics, and social support networks. So we're talking about all relationships.
Oh.
So we can get emotionally detached from a lot of relationships, but the number one cause is us not paying attention as to what's going on in our intimate relationships.
Right.
How we get stuck in our routines, how we get stuck in being moms and being dads, and the
And we
responsibilities.
lose ourselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The responsibilities of our jobs, of our careers. So we just have to make sure that we're keeping an eye on that emotional connection when we're dealing with our intimate relationships.
I say our intimate relationships really control all of our relationships because, you know, like they say, a happy wife is a happy life or a happy home. I say a happy relationship means that you're happy everywhere you go. When things are good at home.
That's true.
Right.
That's
I mean, like
true.
if you're
Absolutely.
good in your relationship and everything is clicking on all cylinders, you are showing up good everywhere. But when things aren't good,
At home?
when you show up, you're just a ball of mess when you show up at certain places, right? You know, you're at work and you're not the best person to be around, or no one really wants to have a conversation with you. Your friends come around, yada, yada, yada. Wherever you show up differently when you're not happy at home or you and your mate are falling out or something
Or
like that.
there's some disconnect
It's
at
disconnect,
home.
right,
Absolutely.
right.
I think that's the basis of, because even though we spend a lot of hours outside of the home, being at home sets the tone.
For sure it
sets
does.
the tone. So when we encounter negativity outside of the home, we can bounce back easier when our relationships are intact.
Yeah.
When we're actually at a good, joyous, loving place. So again, thank you for joining us. If you have any comments, please put them in the comment section. Let us shout you out. We know that we have been missing in action. We've had a lot going on, a lot of responsibilities, but we are glad to be back here with our Friday Night Live. Don't forget, if you have not gotten your book, if you have not gotten your book that we have written, Manifest. Sorry, y'all.
You've been using it.
Manifest a Joy. You got to tune into those good places.
Uh-huh.
So if you haven't gotten your book, Manifest a Joy-Filled Relationship,
Right.
make sure that you go to manifestajoyfilledrelationship.com and purchase your book.
And you want to do that. I think this is a very good, although we wrote the book, but the replies have been, reviews have been
Outstanding.
great.
Yes, thank
we
you,
really
guys.
appreciate that, because we poured our life into it, our
heart
hard
and
work.
soul.
Yeah, we poured a lot into it, and it's been well received. So we thank you so much for that. And you know what? Pick it up for a gift.
Yes.
Pick it up for a gift.
Also, we want to announce that we have created? Is it written? I don't know. We've
Created.
also created the workbook.
The workbook
that goes along with the book.
Yep.
So as we were getting all the reviews in and people were sending in their requests. They asked, do you have a workbook that goes along with it? So we created a workbook. You can also get that on our website or at manifestajoyfilledrelationship.com, or you can go to our website at legendaryrelationship.com.
Yep.
All right, so check it out. If you have your book already, please go and give us a review. At the end of every book, at the end of your book, there is a QR code right there. So please scan the QR code and go leave your review on Amazon. And if you didn't know, we are an Amazon bestseller and #1 in both categories for our book, or in all categories for our book. So we thank you. We were #1. We are an Amazon bestseller. We are best-selling authors. Make sure you pick up your copy today for yourself, one for your friend, one for your neighbor, one for that person that always calls you with relationship issues. Make sure you get them one.
Perfect opportunity.
Absolutely.
And you know what? I got something else for you. We have some special
holiday
pricing too, and you don't want to miss out on that. So run over to manifestajoyfilledrelationship.com and see what's over there waiting for you.
That's right. So we are having a special on our book. It is a special.
It is a blessing because we want to put the book in as many hands as possible. We want to change the face of relationships.
That's right. And we know firsthand that it's not easy.
Nope.
Are we always applying to the rules in this book? Absolutely not. That's why we wrote it.
Yep.
If we were living it every single day, we would not have need to have written it down and put it all together.
Yep.
Right? We know what it takes to have a good relationship. And so what we realize is that we put in the work, we put in the time, we put in the energy, we put in the effort. And we know that when you stop doing maintenance on your relationship, things come up.
Yep.
Right. And so we have to be able to push them down.
You can't push them down.
We also realized that we couldn't fix the problem at the level it was created, which means that if we could have avoided or eliminated some of these issues, we would have.
We didn't have the wherewithal to fix the problem where it was created.
And so that's where our knowledge, gaining knowledge, going to seminars, going to workshops, being part of clubs and relationship networks, that's where they all came into play. And it was truly beneficial for us. So let's get back to tonight's lesson.
So when you physically together,
right,
but mentally and emotionally miles apart, causes emotional disconnect that can lead to resentment
all the time,
misunderstanding, and frustration, which ultimately makes couples feel like they're stuck in a loop. That's a bad loop to be stuck in, I can tell you that. But there is hope. It's possible to get back on track by focusing on intentional connection.
So we want to practice on intentional emotional connection.
Yep.
And I know I've said it before, but our book is a great guide in helping you to navigate some of these issues. So make sure that you are taking the time to read it and or purchase it and find out about it, get the worksheet to go along with it. So it's all about breaking out of the emotional rut that we've created for ourselves. We get ruts in anything.
That's true.
We get ruts in relationships. We get ruts from the day-to-day monotony of working. Right. A rut is what we typically say. You find yourself in a rut, right? So, but we have to break free out of our emotional rut. And we're going to give you some of the tips and tools from out of our book, as well as some that maybe aren't in our book, just to help you to get that started. So let's get started right now, getting into what you can do to, one, be aware that you are in an emotional rut. You may be emotionally disconnected, and then to start on the path to reconnecting.
All right. So first, let's talk about the importance of intentional time.
Okay.
Time intentionally.
Time intentionally.
One thing that we recommend is set aside at least, come on, guys, at least 30 minutes a few times a week, right? So I'll say 3 to 4, but you could, if it's 30 minutes, come on, that's nothing, right? But if we're doing so, we're doing it to feel special, right? We want this time to feel special. That means that something like a date night, Netflix and chill, a walk, or even a meal, meal without distractions, kind of like preparing a meal. So it's like if we're cooking in the kitchen, we're distracted by actually cooking and getting everything together, and then we can have meaningful conversation.
You mean not distracted?
You get it's a good distraction because we're actually doing something, being distracted, but we can have a good conversation while we're being distracted. not like being on the phone, watching TV, stuff like that. That's what I meant.
Right. So,
Yeah.
right. When we're talking about you don't want any distractions, when you want to have 30 minutes to yourself, you want to make sure that there's no phone conversations, no answering the phone unless it's an emergency.
Right.
No television playing in the background that can get your attention. Just you two. It sounds simple, but trust us.
Yep.
As coaches, so many people overlook this. They think that being in the same place means that we are emotionally connecting.
And having quality time.
But it doesn't always necessarily garnish that, because we have to realize that intentional means that you have my attention and I have your intention. So you want to go deeper with the power of the presence, right? Not just being in each other's presence, but you want to make sure that you're fully engaged with each other. So when we talk about Netflix and chill, if we're watching the movie together, then we can interact and be cuddled up, and therefore, we're together. There's no other distractions. There's no kids. There's no phones. There's no interruptions. Whereas if we want to talk about the movie, we can. When we're talking about, as Jason said, cooking dinner, you can cook dinner, but then have a conversation with each other so that you are actually connecting with each other to find out what's going on. How was your day? What did you do today? What were any challenges that you may have come across? How were you feeling? We know lots of times for people when they go to work, right? There are a lot of things that can weigh you down.
Yep.
So when you
a lot of pressures.
Yeah. So when you come home, sometimes we're not on full. So instead of putting more pressure, what you want to do is you want to be able to connect with a conversation that helps your mate just release some of that pressure instead of add to it.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? I give them an exercise, like a daily check-in exercise, right? It's simple and powerful. It's something to start to rebuilding your connection. So at the end of each day, you can ask each other, how was your day?
Right.
Or what was the highlight of your day? Or, what was the most challenging part of your day? Because every day you may not see the highlights in it. So what was challenging for you today? This simple practice helps couples stay emotionally engaged and opens the door for more authentic conversations. So what we don't want to ask questions, those yes, no, maybe I'm okay, I'm not okay. We want to ask questions where we can actually engage and become closer with one another.
Instead of, how was your day?
Fine.
What'd you do? Nothing. Right?
Yep. I did the same thing I did yesterday, which was nothing. So I'm doing more of nothing.
So what I said is that we want to be aware. So those are one of those things that we need to be aware of. Those one-word answers or that non-engagement. So we want to start creating that in the midst of everything that's going on right now, in the middle of having to shop, in the middle of shopping for gifts, right? Shopping for food, planning parties, doing work, whatever you're trying to do.
Taking care of your kids, taking care of your parents, all of those things, all of those life responsibilities.
Absolutely.
As we say, life be out here lifing.
Or if you're looking for a relationship, sometimes what happens is that you become so emotionally detached from looking for love or being open to love that you've created a rut for yourself and you're wondering why love can't come in. So another thing we want you to do is, which we talk about in our book, create a gratitude journal. And what does that mean? We want you to journal about what you're grateful for in your mate, because really oftentimes we do forget. Sometimes it's the little things. It doesn't even have to be the great grand, things. It's just the little things that we're grateful for. It could be anything from, Jason has a great sense of humor, right? So I really do appreciate that sometimes because.
Oh, sometimes. I heard that. Hold up. Stop the music.
I really do appreciate it.
You said sometime?
All the time.
Okay,
It's not necessary.
I appreciate
No,
that.
I'm just kidding. So create a gratitude journal that you can journal 3 to 4 times a week. And right at the end of the week, share that so that you guys can engage in what you're grateful for. And your partner may be surprised. So this is because you guys are disconnected. So you're taking time to actually think. It's not surface level. You're actually thinking about, hey, what am I grateful for in my mate? What are the things that make him or her unique? What makes me smile? What makes me feel loved? What makes me feel warm? So you're putting those things in the book so that your mate can know, because oftentimes when we're disconnected, emotionally disconnected, we don't express those things. We don't even feel like expressing those things. That's the truth.
And if you do it, nothing's good is going to come of it.
And so what we want to do is we want to create a journal and put it right there where you both can access it during the week. And then as you're thinking about it, just write it down.
So let me just make sure I'm clear on this. The gratitude journal.
A gratitude jar is something different, but we do have that too.
Oh, okay.
This
All
is
right,
a gratitude journal.
Okay. All right. Cool. Yep. So you do your journaling. Okay.
Right.
I'm thinking jar.
Right.
We have a few, so
Right.
I just want to make sure that we're touching on the right
So
one.
the gratitude journal is that you and your partner write something 3 to 4 times during the week, and at the end of the week, or it could be whenever you guys have a free moment. Maybe you guys are off on Wednesday or Thursday. Whenever you have a free moment, you
Okay.
want to pick a certain time and day that you're going to read the journaling.
Okay.
You're going to read them together so that you can share in the experience of understanding what it means to reconnect emotionally, which means that if you're reading things about me that tells me what you're grateful for, it gives me a warm feeling. So it gives us the opportunity to reconnect as a couple.
All right, I like that. Baby. So now that's a great exercise.
Okay.
You know, I like that, the journaling.
Mhm.
Yeah. But see, I was thinking, I went straight to the gratitude
Right.
jar.
There is a gratitude jar, which
Yep,
is
yep.
similar, but
Right. And I know we do both. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. We didn't explain the
No, right,
all the way
no,
up.
right.
Okay. But no, we're good. But you know what? When we both share these gratitude lists,
Mhm.
we're not trying to just express appreciation. We're trying to reinforce positive behaviors in our relationship.
Mhm.
It's all about shifting the focus to what works versus what doesn't work.
Exactly.
So we can write a litany of things
Of
on what
what's
doesn't
wrong,
work.
right. You didn't do this.
Right.
We didn't share that. Why don't you do this, right?
We're well equipped with what doesn't work. all right?
Absolutely.
But we're not going to highlight the things that does not work. We're going to talk about the things that work, because if we want more of the things that work, we have to highlight the things that work.
So your focus. Oh, that's a great cue coming in. Today on our prayer call, I said I was going to highlight that on our Friday Night Live. Today is Focus Friday.
Yes.
And so we're talking about you want to focus on the positive. I'm sure everyone has understood, right? You want to accentuate the positive, right?
Yeah.
So we want to focus on the things that are working in our relationship.
Laser focus.
Not the things that are not. And that's the purpose of the gratitude journal, because we're focusing on what we're grateful for, and we're not looking at all of that other negative stuff that seems to be rising up every time we move because of the tension and the stress and the
Or where we
responsibilities
focus.
and the pressures that are going on around us right now.
Yeah, wherever we focus, though, it looks like, if we're focusing on that, we're going to get more of it. We just have to
Susan, you don't have
realize
anything.
that we're going to find it.
I'm sorry.
We're going to find what we're looking for, right? So if
Absolutely.
we're focusing on, the negative things, well, you didn't move that plate, which I think I started moving the plate, so we don't have to talk about the plate anymore. But we don't have to focus about that. We don't have to talk about that anymore. So we can move on to something else. So
All right.
we're going to focus only on the good things, right?
Right.
Now, this week is interesting. I had a moment with Tina Marie.
Okay, I'm glad it was with me.
Yep. And I said, sweetie, you are very special. And I gave her a compliment of some things that who she really and truly is. And I just wanted to let her know how I felt at that particular moment. It wasn't, it didn't have anything to do with anything. It's just something that I had been thinking about. And I said, you know what? I just need to tell her this. So it was a time and moment. And I just said, hey, I feel this way about you. And here's why I feel this way. You're unselfish. You do all these different things. You take care of me. You take care of us. You take care of yourself. You're just so caring. All of these things I was telling her. And she said, really?
Tell the people what you really said. I'm smart and intelligent.
Let me go back in my mind. I say you're smart, you're intelligent, you're driven, you make things happen. It's just every good thing that I could think about or see in a leader and someone else, I saw in her. And I just wanted to let her know. I said, you are a true leader. You really know how to move things forward. You know how to make things happen. And I'm just so excited for our next experience, how we move into this new phase and what we're doing. So I'm just happy. And I just want to let her know that.
Good, I'm glad you're
I
happy.
understand your leadership. and we're good. So, and then after that, she baked me a cake.
Okay, all right. So another key area that we want to let you guys know on how to reconnect is communication.
Mm-hmm.
So often we hear couples say that, we're communicating, we're talking, but we're not talking just about talking. Right? Oftentimes during the conversation, people don't feel heard.
Ooh.
So they say, I'm talking, I'm expressing, I'm trying to communicate with my mate, and I keep saying the same thing over and over again, but I don't feel like as though I'm being heard. So understand that communication is not just about talking, it's about listening and understanding each other, right? Sometimes we are so on the rope of being defensive or trying to prove our point that we forget to take the time to really listen.
Yeah.
And that's a very major thing in communication. My son and I, we had one of those conversations. And then after we talked, maybe I wasn't listening as much as I should have. I was, but then I know that I was probably at some point, one, I didn't understand. And that's part of communication too.
Mm-hmm.
Listening to understand. And two, as I later pondered the conversation, there were other things that I could have said that maybe could have helped him to understand and help me understand him better if I had have taken it at that time. But I think it went from just when we're not really communicating effectively as we could. And so that what that brought to me.
So you just put up a block?
No.
Because you saw it one way?
No. It was just that as I replayed it in my mind, I realized there were some areas that could have been better done. Gotcha. And so, which brings me to my point when we're talking about communicating and listening and really understanding is that I think what we fail to do in communicating in any relationship. So, like I said, we're not just talking about intimate relationship because my son is very intimate to me, right? He's not my husband, but realizing that we have built or created these relationships that we have with one another.
Yes, we have.
Right?
Yep.
So we have to rebuild them.
Yep.
We have to sometimes deconstruct them and put them back together the way we really want them to be. So now that we have young men, right, who have their own viewpoints, and maybe he was trying to stress his point.
Sure.
And maybe I was trying to just maybe convince him of another point. I don't know. Or just trying to get to make sure that we were trying to make sure that each other understood what the other person was saying. But I think there was some loss in communication there.
Sure.
So my point is that we have to make sure that during that time that we're trying to talk, we do take a seat back to actually not just listen to what the person's saying, but to empathize with the person, to put ourselves in their shoes and really try to understand what they're saying, which we always talk about shifting perspective, right?
Right.
So this was a time to not have a conversation how we used to have it, but more of let me shift my perspective and let me really try to understand what this person is saying. So when we're disconnected, sometimes it's very hard to have a conversation.
Sure.
Because we have created this rut of how we communicate.
Right. So now you need to communicate.
Reestablish.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right. So I'm saying the first thing you go to is what you default to, right? You default to this is how I communicate. This is how it's always been. This is how I'm going to go.
Right.
But then you wonder why your communications always end up the same way.
Absolutely.
So you said, look, I need to do something different. Like you said, as you went back and you replayed it, you was like,
and it's not about both people agreeing with each other.
No, you don't have to agree.
No. Yeah, I'm just saying. So it's not about you agreeing with your mate or your mate agreeing with you.
Right.
It's more about understanding where that person is coming from and just letting that person be heard however it is they want to express themselves and being okay with, if that's your choice, then that's your choice. But reestablishing those lines of communication in a way that are healthier.
Right.
Because we block each other off. We want to prove our point. We want to be heard in a way where this is right and you're wrong, or I'm wrong and you're right. And that's not really what communication is all about.
Right.
It's about understanding the person and being able to hear them, listen, put yourself in their shoes and see from their viewpoint, shift your perspective, and then still walk away, saying, hey, I got a grander way of looking at things.
Right. If you can look.
Well, that's what we're talking about, helping people reconnect.
If you can look at the way from another person's point of view.
Absolutely. Yeah. If we can empathize with them, okay?
Yeah.
And maybe when we're having those kind of conversations, it may not be empathy. Right. It may just be being okay with both of us not agreeing to disagree. I respect your opinion. You respect my opinion. But when we're talking about intimate relationships with our mate, we have to realize that we have to, if we've established unhealthy communication, we now have to start from the ground up.
Right.
So we have to reestablish those lines of communication. And so we do that by doing small steps. Like we said, the gratitude journal. And so when you're talking about something, an issue that's going on, when you're talking about I'm grateful for things, it's kind of hard to be on the defensive when you're telling me what you're grateful for.
That is so true.
Right?
That is so true.
And so
it is hard for me to, hammer home my point of view and show you how right I am when I'm telling you that you're wonderful
right.
and that you mean so much and all of these other things that I'm saying about you.
And so when we take the time to connect in other ways, then when issues come up, we want to address those issues at the point where we're actually in a good place, not a bad place.
Right.
So that was my point, but go ahead.
That brings up a good point too, because that makes me think of a tip that Dr. John Gottman had, and I think he said he's a relationship expert too.
Okay, he's also in our book.
Yes, he is.
Dr. John Gottman.
Yes, it says when individuals listen to each other and respond with empathy, it strengthens their bond.
Right.
I think that's how he said it. Empathy is the key to reconnecting.
All right.
Which is extensively
expressed in our book.
That's right.
About responding from empathy or just having empathy in all areas.
And that's not easy. Having empathy isn't easy, and everybody don't know it, right? They don't express it. They have it, they may not express it, but they have empathy, they just may not know how to express it.
Okay. So, oftentimes when we're speaking with couples or even on our podcast, what we're saying may sound completely simple, right? They're like, duh, it's a no-brainer. Of course you want to do this and that. But knowing it and doing it are two different things.
Yeah.
And I know that because I do that. And so I know lots of things, but when I'm in the heat of the moment or when I am stressed or under pressure, sometimes all of those things go out the window.
I like that.
So we have to understand that knowing something doesn't always mean that we're taking a moment to breathe before we respond. So I want you to pay attention to what I'm saying for the next part. When you're communicating, try to avoid to be defensive. Avoid being defensive, right? Instead, focus on validating whatever that person is feeling. Even if you don't always agree with them, which it seems as though oftentimes me and my son, we just don't agree on things. But when you listen, and I listen with empathy when I'm listening to him, because I do want to know his point of view. I do want to know why he feels the way he feels. And, but I think also in that process, it's like, okay, there's so many other bases that can deconstruct what you're saying. So I'm trying to help him to listen, but really I just need to know that it's okay to disagree, right? So, and try to listen with empathy and to understand. It creates an environment where, and I don't know how he felt when he walked away, but I know when you and I are talking, I try to implement this more with us because I think we've worked more on our relationship than in our intimate relationships with our children.
Right.
But you want to make sure that you feel heard, the person you're talking to feels heard, both people feel valued, and both people feel understood. Not like you're walking away with
keep feeling unfulfilled and the conversation.
No understanding was taken.
Right. Actually, you walk away from the conversation feeling worse than you did before you started talking.
And the conversation wasn't even about something worse.
Exactly.
So that's so just like, for Thanksgiving, when we were arguing over, no, I put the pot here, no, you put the pot there, and you want to make sure.
Over the pot.
Or whatever it was.
I know.
Right.
I'm just saying, over something so small that didn't have anything to do with anything, but it wasn't really about that. It was about all of the pressures and everything else.
So when we're talking about communication and the stresses, what happens is that we normally take it out on the person closest to us, right? Which is usually our mate. We don't really mean to, but we just do it because we know they're not going anywhere, and we're used to just kind of dumping everything on them. They're like the punching bag.
Yep, you're just a human punching bag.
Right?
I'm like right there, like, let me get this quick workout.
So we have to remember to take a breather, take a step back, and then just realize that this time of the season, you really want to pay attention. You want to be intentional in your actions when it comes to your intimate relationship, especially right now if you're feeling disconnected. If you and your partner are feeling disconnected in any way, if you're not talking, if you're not intimate, if you're not having sexual relations, if you're not holding hands,
touching, kissing,
then that means you're emotionally disconnected. And so you want to pay attention to that. Those are red flags on the field, right? They're not even behind you. They're on the field right in front of you. So you want to pay attention and you want to be intentional about the things that you do. So let's start being intentional in how to reconnect. Let's start with the little small things. Sometimes we want to tackle the issue of why we're not talking.
Right.
As my cousin Richard told me, you can only eat an elephant one bite at a time. Right?
That's right.
No matter how big it is.
No matter how big.
So he said, as a matter of fact, he said an ant. An ant can only eat an elephant. I don't know if ants eat elephants, but the point being
if they get hungry enough, they will.
Don't go after the big whole elephant.
Right.
Just take a little bit at a time. Let's try to reconnect and try to open up the lines of communication first, and then go outward and work our way out. Let's start with the little things.
You know what? You may not be. You talk about the big issue, right? We want to tackle the big thing.
We always want. I
We
want you to
may
tell
not
me.
be emotionally equipped to handle the big issue and speak about it the way it needs to be spoken about to resolve
Or
the
dissect.
issue.
Absolutely.
Right.
Very good point.
So that's the problem. You have to grow into that consciousness. You have to grow into that awareness in order to handle that situation.
As we talk about, you can't solve a problem at the level in which it was created, which means that a lot of issues that we constantly, as we say, create this relationship loop of problems and struggles. The reason why is because we haven't learned how to resolve them effectively. So we keep experiencing them over and over again. And so, you know what? That brings me to another point.
Okay.
So we often get the question, well, what is a coach? You know, people say, oh, you're counselors and all these things.
We definitely get called counselors.
Right. We are relationship coaches, which mean that we help you win at life. And relationships are just a byproduct of it. We help you win at life because if you understand what it takes to make all relationships work, everything is connected, it's relational, then you can make sure that your relationship works as well. But first you have to take care of yourself. Too many thoughts was going on in my head. But go ahead. I didn't want to take up too much time. All right.
So now that we talked about ways to reconnect emotionally, let's talk about turning these changes into something sustainable.
Right.
Right.
Get motivated to make some change.
Changes in your relationship. So it's good to talk about and identifying the problem. That's what therapy is for. You can definitely do all the identification you want and find out what the problem is, but we want to find some different parts and just make our relationship better. So it's about setting up a new normal because you already have a normal and your normal may be working or maybe not working. So I'm going to say not for right now. So it's time to get a new normal.
That's right.
Where these practices can become part of your daily routine. Like, when was the last time you said nice things about your spouse?
Yeah. We need a new norm.
We do.
We don't realize
We
that
need it's almost like a fresh start.
So a rut means this one thing has gotten so far down that we can't get out of it.
Right.
We need a new routine, which means that if I get out of that rut, I need a new path.
There you go.
So we have to create a new norm for our relationship. You remember all the love and the excitement and the joy and the intimacy that was going on in the beginning? Let's get back there. You can get back there. How do I know? Because I've been there. I've been in that rut, and now I'm out of it. All right. So a lot of people might get, okay, well, all right, what do you think I should do? Let's have a conversation, right? Let's make changes. Tell me what I need to do. But we have to realize that the real transformation in your relationship and in your life happens when you take these little small steps that we're giving you and you make them habits. You turn them into consistent action over time. This is not a diet. Right? You're not putting your relationship on a diet. You're not going to implement this for today and next week and then get a good little feeling and then you're going to stop. No, we have to retrain ourselves to reconnect in a different way because we have created the relationship we have and we weren't intentional. What happens is that life happens and we end up life happens and we just roll with the punches. We never intentionally make time for carving out that time with our mate. We learn that we meet someone, you fall in love, you get married, you get a marriage, and then you just let life happen. No, that's not what happens. When you just let life happen, that's when you find yourself disconnected with your partner.
Yeah.
So we have to make sure that we're spending the same amount of time that we take intentionally with our girlfriends or our male friends or shopping or
Show me
cooking
some of
or
that love.
children.
That's right.
Whatever we are intentionally thinking of, we have to do the same thing in our relationships. Either the one that we have or the one that we're trying to get. Right. It's no different. Right. So if you're out there looking for love this holiday, you have to get out of the rut of thinking that there's no one out there for you.
Exactly.
You have to get out of the rut of thinking that, all men are this or all men are that, or I can't find a good man. Well, as long as you say those words are going to find themselves true, because that's part of universal law. The universe will give you exactly what you tell it you want. And so if you're saying...
Actually gives you what you believe as well.
That's right.
What you truly believe, not what you say, but what you believe.
So if you believe that there are no good men out there, you're not going to find a good man.
Yep.
So we have to be careful with the thoughts that we think and the intention that we put on ourselves in our relationship. We have to be intentional in our actions when it comes to intimate relationships.
Yep. So Shannon, we had a comment up there. I think it was Shannon, if I'm not mistaken.
All right.
Yep. Shannon. Hey, Shannon, thank you for joining. We appreciate that. It says reprogramming. Yes.
Reprogramming. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yes. We do have to reprogram ourselves. We reprogram our lives. We need to reprogram.
Get out of the rut.
If our program isn't working, and we know most of the time, if we're not extremely happy, our program isn't working.
And what happens is that we reprogram for a week.
Yeah. This is a lifetime.
We reprogram for 2 weeks.
Right.
And what we don't realize is that the rut that we are in, we created that rut over years.
Yes.
Years and years and years. Either the way we think or the way we act with our mates.
Yep.
Reprogramming requires a total deconstruction. Sometimes we got to start from a whole new foundation because we have eroded the foundation that we were built on. And so now we have to create a new one. Just got to get our foundation back. You got to get tuck point. Is that what they call when you get, what is it when you?
Well, tuck point is on
the house, right? What's in the foundation? Just.
Oh, if your foundation messed up, your house got to get torn down.
All right. So
you don't want that to happen.
So we're going to say reprogramming.
Yeah.
All right.
A little tuck pointing. Yeah.
Right. So make sure that when you are being intentional with emotional connection time, when you are doing the gratitude journal, when you are being intentional in what you say and what you do and how to communicate, make sure you are making these things habits. You are implementing them in your life every day, however you can. Lots of times I tell people, before you react, take a moment to breathe. Because we react just like that.
Well, it's on autopilot, baby.
It's on autopilot.
That's why. My reactions, these things are canned up. I'm ready to let them fly. Right? I don't even have to think about them. I already know my response. You say this, you're going to get this.
So part of reprogramming is reprogramming that button.
They don't get that.
So then when they push it,
they don't get that.
They don't.
They don't get that I got canned up for them, queued up, ready to go. Okay.
Exactly. So make sure that you're making these an intention. You're making these intentional steps a habit.
Yep, and we have something that we've been working on
to help you with that, to help you with that reprogramming.
Yep. I love it, the reprogramming.
Right. So,
so what we have is a new masterclass that we put together. So this masterclass, it's a 3-day masterclass for couples that comes in. It's designed to help you go deeper into strategies that work for both you and individuals and couples. The masterclass provides a roadmap to trust, boundaries, and reconnecting and creating lasting intimacy in your relationship. Boy, I get so excited talking about it.
Okay.
We have also personalized coaching if you need something more suited for you. Man, I am just stunned right now.
So I had wrote down something as I was getting ready, and I was like, so what is the masterclass, right? So oftentimes people want help, but they don't want people to know that they want help. That's what I find a lot. So we'll ask little questions, or we'll ask our closest friends, because most of the time they know what's going on in our relationship. So people want help, but they don't want you to be in their business. So this is why our 3-day masterclass was really created.
Okay.
To help people who need the help or want the help or want to figure out, hey, let me read something. Let me get a little bit of knowledge. Let me see what I can do with it. And so we created the 3-day masterclass. It is self-guided, self-paced, and it's all on you. Ooh, right? So you can go to legendaryrelationship.com/masterclass. Am I right, Jason? Is it masterclass?
It is.
Okay.
Let me just make sure. Yep, I think it is.
Okay, so it's legendaryrelationship.com/masterclass and check it out. It is one there for couples that says get your relationship back on track. And then there's one for individuals and it says get yourself back on track for the right relationship. So whether you're single
or you're a couple, you can still get your stuff back on track. I'm about to say something, but you can get yourself together.
So it is a 3-day masterclass to help you, self-paced, self-guided. You can do it all in one day. You can do it in 6 weeks. You can do it over and over again. It's all you. You can take the time to find out some of the things that we have worked through, some of the things that we know work, some strategies and setting boundaries and understanding who you are as a person, self-love, and realizing your values and what you value in a relationship. So make sure that you go and check out the 3-day masterclass. If you know someone who may be struggling in their relationship or may be struggling to get a relationship, make sure you direct them to Legendary Relationship, the 3-day masterclass. All right?
Do it for you. Do it for your life. Do it for your baby.
So if you are serious, and that's what we're talking about. So many people want to complain. They just want to complain. But if you are one of those people who are serious about breaking free from the routine, breaking free from the stress, breaking free from feeling unloved and unwanted and tired of the arguing, right? You want to reignite the spark between you and your partner, or you want to get a spark and a new partner.
There you go. Get that spark.
Don't just stop at the podcast. So take action now. And remember, even small shifts can create results in your relationship. What does that mean? If I take a little bitty pebble and throw it into the lake, it's still going to make some rippling effects.
Sure.
Doesn't have to be a big, huge boulder.
Right.
Doesn't have to be a big, huge rock. It doesn't have to be a mountain, right? It's the little things that count. So even the small little shifts in what you do can make a difference. So go to legendaryrelationship.com and check out the 3-day masterclass. As I say again, that's self-paced and self-guided. It's all on you.
Ooh, you put the onus on me?
No one has to know what's going on in your relationship but you.
So you can start the new year off right.
That's right.
So, and tell someone, tell a friend. I mean, like, listen, here's the thing. People always say, man, you guys have a good relationship and you know, I like the way you guys communicate and do all this other stuff. You don't
I'm laughing. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was laughing to the guy at the gym. He's like, man, y'all make it look easy. What this?
Oh, yeah. No, that's funny. Yeah, that is funny. So what we did.
Need a little water?
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
Okay.
So what we did was we did a lot of training. We did a lot of studying. We did a lot of work on ourselves, on our relationship. But a lot of people are not going to do that. They get in these relationships and they go from relationship to relationship, waiting to find the right feeling relationship to try to make it work until something comes up in it. You have to do a lot of individual work and then you have to do a lot of work together. And if you don't find someone that's willing to do that same type of work, it's going to be hard to have that type of communication that you're looking for. So for me to say that is get educated. You have to learn something. The reason why we date because we grow up when we're supposed to date. Or we get hormones and we start to feel that way.
Or we date to get to know each other so we know if this is the person. You want to know if that's your person. It all depends
because now they got the whole dating with benefits thing.
Well, that's the problem with why people nowadays think that dating is just to date. Dating is not just to date. Dating is like high school. It's preparing you for college. Dating is supposed to be that time that you actually evaluate the person. Do they and I have the same values?
Okay.
Do we have the same goals? Are we on the same page? Are we looking to elevate? You know, what do you want out of life? That's what dating should be out there. You know, Jason kind of fell for a moment. He listening to some of the other things, but you get caught up in that. So what were you trying to say? Just don't date today. What are you saying? We dating?
Oh, get some education. Okay. That's what I'm saying. Get some education. Don't think that you're just going to have something to be successful just because. Now, here's the thing, too. We get educated on our jobs, and then we try to bring that job training home, right?
Yes.
They tell us how to communicate with, getting the best out of our employees and meeting quotas and stuff like that. So we get this communication training. We get all of these different trainings in how to make people do what we need them to do. And then we bring that home and we use it on our spouse. And we wonder why we having problems at home.
You trying to act like your spouse is your employee.
I'm just saying. I didn't say it out loud, but for the people in the back, yes, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah. So today, we hope this episode helped you feel more equipped with how to reconnect with your partner for the holiday season. And if you did not see that you were disconnected or you didn't understand it, now you can just look at it differently, right? Yeah, it's okay. So you're in the heat of the kitchen and things are kind of falling apart because you want to make it happen. But then you have to go somewhere and then save face, right? You didn't battle in the kitchen. You didn't got all this stuff together. And then now you have to pretend when you go to somewhere where the dinner is after you guys involved and did everything in the kitchen.
Or I would say lots of times what we say to our coaching clients is that when people say, well, we're not disconnected. Okay, but disconnection, you have to we have to be honest with ourselves.
Right.
If you're not feeling happy and joyous and loving majority of the time, I mean, we're all going to argue.
Right.
But if we can't rebound right after we have an argument, I know, Jason and I was a little upset, disappointed, or whatever the word may be.
When I was cracking a joke or something, you didn't.
Whatever it may have been.
Whatever it might have
but
been.
then it was 5 minutes later, and I let it go. Because one of our philosophies is not to major in the minors.
Right.
So if you can't, have a disagreement, and then in the next 5 minutes continue talking and loving and acting and going on about your business, then you may be disconnected, or you may be on the verge of disconnecting. We have to pay attention to when we are emotionally connected.
Yeah.
So just pay attention to the signs.
Yeah, so just remember, the holidays is a great time of joy and reconnecting, not just for you and your family, but for you and your partner.
Absolutely.
Just understand it's okay. Sometimes we have to let things go.
All right. So do we have another comment? We got to open it up so we can read it. Awesome information. Can you read that? Oh, there we go.
Yep.
Awesome information shared this evening. Thank you. You are welcome, Doc. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you for tuning in.
All right. So make sure that for anyone who may be watching the replay, make sure that you hit the share button. You go back to it. So make sure you hit the share button and the like button. Please follow our channel, Legendary Relationship. So, and if you're ready to go deeper, head over to our website at legendaryrelationship.com and grab a copy of Manifest a Joy-Filled Relationship, or you can go straight to manifestajoyfilledrelationship.com. You can get it now, and you can also get our Manifest a Joy-Filled Relationship workbook. And as a bonus with the workbook, you get something else. So there is a bonus there. There are a lot of little hidden gems and what did you call it? Specials. Specials, right. So we don't want to call them holiday specials, but there are a lot of specials that we have put on, well, I don't say sale. Okay, well, there's some specials going on the website. So go check it out. All right. So, which are designed to help you further your journey on manifesting a joy-filled relationship. So make sure you sign up for the 3-day masterclass, or you tell someone about it, which is manifest or get your relationship back on track, or get yourself back on track for the right relationship. So don't forget, head over to our website, Legendary Relationship, no S, relationship.com.
All right. So, hey, give yourself the gift of understanding, learning, and creating joyous relationships this holiday season for lasting love. You can also check out some of our new merchandise. And I'm so glad you mentioned that.
Right. Manifest a Joy-Filled Relationship t-shirts.
Yes.
Y'all see my earrings? Can you see my earrings?
Oh,
Manifest a Joy-Filled Relationship earrings. But the earrings are not on our website. But you can get the t-shirts. You can get the candles. You can get the journal. So if you want a journal to go along with the book as you're reading it, and to journal as you're working through the workbook, we do have the Manifest a Joy-Filled Relationship journal. Is there any way you could pull that up, honey? Oh, it's coming up. All right.
So you just go to legendaryrelationship.com. legendaryrelationship.store. That's our apparel store. You can get journals, you can get shirts, you can get candles. I forget some other things that you can get on there as well.
I think mugs and stuff like that. So go check it out.
Yep. So just go check it out. So like I said, legendaryrelationship.store.
All right. Is there anything else? Let's close it out for tonight.
I think that is it. I believe so. I believe it is. Hey, my man Dennis. Dennis popped in the house. What's going
Dennis,
on, man?
you know, we on Central Time. You late, Dennis. We getting ready to get off.
Yeah. What you say?
Well, with my mom. You supposed to be using your phone. Your phone, you can tap in anywhere.
Oh, tell moms we said what's up. I know she's loving having you there.
So, Dennis, I know you, I wanted to know, so maybe next week I thought about having some people come on live and talk. So maybe reach out to me. We'll see if we can give you a number you can call in and talk about some of the benefits you got from the show. So thank you for tuning in. Dennis, I'm not happy that you're late, but you know we on
but you know what?
Central
You
Time.
chime in.
That's right. You chimed in.
The party don't start till Dennis show up.
All right. That's right. That's right. Well, thank you for joining us, Dennis. Tell your mom we said hello.
Yeah.
Thank you for hanging out. So can you so I can do the closing for me, please?
Yep, not a problem, sweetie. Not a problem.
All right. So that sums up another episode for us. We'll see you next time where we'll continue to help you take your relationship off cruise control. Until then, stay present and choose love. And remember, in order to win at love, tune in because
what, baby? What
because what, Dennis? What's our famous thing? What's the thing? So remember, choose love and continue to tune in to our channel because, as always, we're waiting on Jason.
Yeah, you definitely waiting on me. You definitely waiting on me.
We started off and ended it. Okay, so as always, we're in it to win it.
All right, thanks for hanging out with us, guys.
Go
Till
watch
next
the
week.
recap.
All right.
Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Lovin' Beyond the I Do podcast. Head over to iTunes to subscribe and leave a review. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Legendary Relationship or visit our website at legendaryrelationship.com. Till next time, remember to make every day count.